Yeah, I've been doing the NeuroPhysics stuff for a while now. I first ran into Ken out at Emerald when I was doing some coal mining out there. So I used to balance my life with coal mining underground for 3 months at a time and then go off and do adventures. And in that time where I was working in the mines, I'd be training at Ken's gym, doing his NeuroPhysics program and really just setting myself up to go and succeed on these adventures. So I'd have the finances, I'd have the physical ability and mental ability to go and do these adventures. So at that time I was climbing the 7 summits, so the biggest mountain on each continent, and I wanted to knock out all 7 in 1 year. So I achieved 6 of them and sort of missed out on 1. But I definitely had the physical, mental capacity to get it all done, and a lot of that was testament to the training I was doing at the time.
So were you going to Ken? What was the reason why you were going to see him? Just to optimise you as a human specimen, to try and maximise your potential as an athlete? Is that why?
Absolutely. Like, I think the biggest mistake a lot of us athletes make is overtraining. You just bury ourselves into the ground thinking we've got to get bigger, stronger, faster all the time. And what I ended up doing, and what worked perfectly for me, was incorporating Ken's program into my own. So I'd do my 1 day of CrossFit and strength conditioning and adventure-based training, dragging tyres and all that stuff we had to do. And the next day I'll be doing the NeuroPhysics programs, be it 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 6, whatever. And it just had this perfect balance where I could continually always improve and never get to that tipping point where I'd end up overtraining and then dying for a couple of weeks, getting back on overtraining, dying for a couple of weeks. Once you immerse yourself in the program and you see the benefits of it, all the pieces start to fall into place. If someone just tells you about it, you're like, that doesn't really make sense. You have to go and try it for yourself. And then the benefits you get week to week, is testament to the program. The biggest fear we have as athletes is not training and losing the gains that we've accomplished so far. Whereas actually by incorporating it, you get more gains and more gains and more gains out of it.
When I met this guy 2 years ago, he wasn't quite in it then. He was running a business and that kind of thing. But pretty much when we moved to Thailand last year, he started reincorporating it back into his training. And I saw the benefits and I was jealous. Like, I was really jealous of how well he was training.
What were you seeing? What were the specific things you were noticing?
Just knowing him before and knowing him in Sydney and in a stressful environment and that kind of thing, and pulling him out of it and then seeing the training, he just became a different person. He was way more composed. He was just lighter and training better. Like, he's always trained well, but training better than I'd ever seen him before. And like you said, 1 day on, 1 day with Ken stuff, and I was there busting my guts, like, come on, what am I missing? And I was just a bit jealous, really.
Oh, it balances you out, absolutely, yeah. More in your mindset as well. You're not burying yourself into the ground. Just by getting that composure back, it just takes you to the next level. It's quite a hard thing to understand unless you're at that elite level, thinking you're at an elite level, and then you realise, no, I'm not. There's a lot further that I could take my training and take my abilities.
As an athlete, I've evolved so much, even in this past year, of just knowing my body and understanding my body, and this has just given me that, I feel like 100% understanding of my body and what it needs to be the best that I can be.
My adventure life sort of started with smaller things, little treks, little climbs here and there, and then I thought, I want to go and have a crack at something really big. So I got my eyes set on these 7 summits, the biggest mountain on each continent, starting with one in Argentina called Aconcagua. And went and accomplished that one. I said, what's the next goal? We got bigger and more challenging events. And a month ago, I just got off my biggest one ever, which was a little bit totally different, was a row across the Atlantic, 6,000 kilometres over 55 days, which took mental and physical endurance to a new level for me. The mountaineering was very difficult. You have very, very hard days in the mountains, but then you get to sleep and you have a bit of a rest and recovery and you charge up for the next day. This one, we were doing 2 hours of rowing, 2 hours of rest, 24 hours a day for 55 days. So it took you to a new level. And
in every respect,
in absolutely every respect. And with Ken's stuff, even out on the water when I was having issues, I was using the NeuroPhysics stuff just to bring me back online, get rid of any residual pain I was having, numbness in the hands from rowing, all these little issues, and just bring me back online, sort my head out, and I'd be sweet. When I was having hand issues where, because we were rowing so much and I hadn't done a lot of rowing, my whole hands would go numb. So I would stop rowing, I'd put my oars down, I'd sort of center myself, I'd get my hands together, and I'd start doing some NeuroPhysics stuff with a bit of tremor and letting it evolve. And that numbness would go. It'd just dissipate, you know, and I'd be back on the oars for another few hours, and it'd be fantastic. But once you've got it, it's the ultimate tool in your toolbox.
How many days? What, 65 days?
55 days.
55
So
days.
we set a new world record for the route, and we took a couple of world records out of it, which is fantastic, but absolutely brutal.
How often would you do have a rattle, as they say? How often would you need to do one?
It was mainly in the beginning.
Right.
So I sort of went into it, and during those initial few weeks, when it was the hardest and your body's adapting to this new environment, these new challenges, numbness and pain everywhere, I'd use it. After the first 3 or 4 weeks, didn't need to. The body's just online. It's ready to go.
My CrossFit, I made it to the regionals, which was down in Wollongong a few weeks ago, and came back to Sydney and was just ready to hit it hard and jump straight into this huge programming that my body it wasn't ready for, 100%. And I knew it in my head, and I knew mentally I just wasn't there. And injuries just started coming up left, right, and centre. And like, I've never been injured really in my whole sport, my bodybuilding, my powerlifting. It's just never really hit me. And these last 4 weeks coming into these regional games, my body just said no. It just stopped, and just everything just started coming out, wrists, back, hips, everything. And just lucky enough that I was in Sydney and Luke was here, and Ken was great enough to look at me and go, okay, let's take you through this. Let's figure this out. I mean, I like to think I'm my system's pretty good, and there's no huge complications, but just little niggles. And for an athlete, anything small, your head just goes pain, boom, and just thinks about that pain and again. And just working with Ken and him explaining, like, don't make the pain famous, like, just take it back, and don't give it the time of day, and just retraining your brain to be like, no, this isn't pain, this is just my body just taking it like a different approach and telling you to just take it back a notch. Having him believe in it so much really helped me as well. I don't think I would be really skeptical if I didn't have him saying and believing in it and showing me how good it is for your training and dominating all these adventures and that kind of thing. So yeah, for me to just sort of let go and just go, hey,
Give it a crack.
Try it. You've tried so many other things. You've tried your physio, you've tried your chiro, you've tried everything in your life. Why not try this? Our training is just, it's made for this. This is why we train. We don't train to be the best CrossFitter. We don't train to be the best powerlifter. We train to see awesome things.
And just to finally say, and you have this is like almost a secret weapon, isn't it? To have this.
Oh,
on board.
absolutely.
Yeah. 100%.
If I didn't have the NeuroPhysics stuff while I was out in the Atlantic, I would have been rowing with numb hands, in pain, day to day, and who knows what that toll will take on your mind and your body over a long period of time. It could have been failure. You just don't know. So this is that confident, thing in your back pocket.
Luke, I mean, the main thing, he lost 15 kilos rowing across that ocean, and he went from 93 kilos just down. And when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, like shell of a man from what I knew 2 months before he got on the boat. And coming back, he's been off a month, and he's back.
Bounced back, yeah.
He's bounced back, and
that's a great
that's
point,
a
actually.
huge thing, bouncing back from something like that. And I put it down to the training, 100%.
NeuroPhysics will make you that truly adaptive system to anything you do. Like by the end of the row, I could row for 2 hours as hard as you could row, but I couldn't walk. So it adapted to that. Now it's only been 4 weeks, and I've filled back out. I'm only a few kilos lighter than what I was. The body's adapted back to this. And that's what it's all about, getting your body in a state where you can just adapt to anything the environment's going to throw at you.